Today, I'm going to replace the trim switch on my Mercury shift controller. Now, I know that this switch has gone bad. It intermittently won't work when I'm trimming up. The trim down will work. See now, it did it a couple times and it quit. Now, I know that the trim up button works on the motor all the time, and you can do a few more electrical tests, but I know this switch is just bad, so I'm going to go ahead and get it changed out. Now, I've already taken the bolts loose to take this controller loose. It does have just some 7/16 inch bolts that aren't factory that I used to install this. So now we're going to pull this loose from the side of the boat. And also, when I got this boat, it was missing the plastic spacer that goes between the control and the fiberglass side of the boat. So I just used these spacers that I picked up at Tractor Supply just to create some clearance so I could get the shifter down all the way. And this worked great without that plastic piece. So now we've got a bolt here that holds this shifter on, so I'm going to take that loose. So go 1/2 inch. Bolt out of the back there, put it to the side. Now we'll pull our shift lever loose. All right. And so where it connects, we will need to take some plates off of the remote control. So we'll go ahead and just start removing some plates here till we can access the area that we need. That one's pretty stuck. So I don't remember if that's part of the plate we need or not. So we'll take this upper one loose. Ooh. Johnny, I'm gonna push down on this super hard. And when I do, I want you to try to pull the wrench. Here, let's stick it on something. It's a little tougher. Fold that seat down. Try to put it up here. And I'm gonna push down on this super hard. And when I tell you, I need you to like turn the wrench this way. Okay? Okay, stop. Okay, so we've stripped out that screw. Okay, I finally got the screw out. What I ended up having to do was use a drill, and I got a drill bit that was a little bit bigger than the size of the shaft, and then drilled out the head. And then once I did that, I took a pair of just the Nipix pliers and was able to get the stud out. And I did find another machine screw that I can put in place of it. It's not gonna sit down flush, but it doesn't really matter because I've got this set out on spacers. But if you have to do this on yours, you can simply go down to the hardware store and take a sample and get some machine screws that'll match it. So now that we have these plates out of the way, set them off to the side. We'll set this off. So now we need to get to the switch, and so I'm going to need to take the screws out of the handle here to access. All right, want to make sure to save our spring here for our handle. Put everything where you can find it again. Now, I did this switch replacement about 3 years ago. So this switch lasted approximately 3 years. And now it's messing up again. So we'll get a new one in there, and hopefully this one lasts a little bit longer. So this cover just has some plastic tangs here. We're going to push them in so we can get it loose. Try to be gentle with old plastic. The motor's a 1994, so I'm thinking this is probably the original control for that motor. So that would put it close to almost 30 years old. All right, and so now I'll pull this handle up, disconnect these wires. We got blue to blue, red to red, and kind of a light green to the green and white. Ooh. Get that out of there. So let's compare switches here. This newer one feels a lot better. Now I've used the heck out of this boat since I've had it. You know, I've had it, been a lot of weekends out there on the lake, most weekends running the boat hard, doing a lot of trim up and down, chasing those bass. So when I ordered my new switch, I was trying to find an OEM one, but then I guess just could find the aftermarket. I'm a big believer in the OEM if you can find it and the price is decent. Otherwise, on some of this old stuff, you just have to use what you can get. Here, so go ahead and set this one off to the side. Run our wires through our handle. All right. Sit right here. Wanting to pop off. I'm assuming it's supposed to be down here, placed on the handle where it's going to get the most action to do a little resistance against rubbing. It's wanting to pop off, so get it repositioned, and then give it a little crimp here to get it to stay. Go. So now, let's see if we can get our handle back on. All right, shoves up in there, get a nice tight fit. I've got to put the screw in there to hold it. Now this is a kind of an aftermarket screw that I found when I did this project about 3 years ago. It had the screw and the hardware missing. Somebody had taken this stuff apart and not putting it together right. And even the spring on the handle was missing, and I was actually able to go to Tractor Supply and just buy a little box of springs, and I was able to find one out of there, and it worked good for 3 years. So we're gonna put it back. Now I have seen some of these aftermarket control switches or boxes for sale on the internet. So if any of y'all have used those and have had any luck with them, just comment down below, let me know. I would be curious. I've seen those things. They look, you know, like they're pretty cheap, but being imported and not OEM makes me just kind of wonder how good they were. So if you had any luck with them, let me know. In the meantime, I'm going to keep trying to repair this old OEM switch and control box. wire saver's already trying to come loose. Some of this stuff's just a little tedious, I think's the word for it, so you just have to have some patience. Take it easy, try to remember how everything came apart. Sometimes it's good just to take some pictures when you take things apart like this, and use your phone, go back, if you forget something, say, oh yeah, that's how it went. Nothing like a good picture of it when it's all still together like it should be, that you can compare after you get it apart and go, oh, where does that go? All right. So we'll snap our 30-year-old cover on. We were successfully able to get it off without breaking any of the tangs. So anytime I can do that on old plastic, it makes me happy. And we'll go ahead and put that throttle in there. Let's take a look at it. Ooh. Interesting, there's a part. Where does that go? Looks like it's been just roaming around in there for a long time. That's interesting. Have to investigate. What the heck is that and where did it come from? Let's take this a little bit loose and look at it. Interesting. Maybe these wires can go up through here. It's not how it was before, but it looks like it makes sense. We're going to try it out. Try a range of motion with it. Yeah. Seems to work as far as that goes. Let me get another look at it. Yep, it'll slide. Yep, that makes sense. I'll just put it through there. Ooh. Now, I think we could use another little coat of grease on some of these things. This grease looks like it's about 30 years old, so I'm just going to give a nice little coat of grease on some of these parts before I put them back together. Try to get this back in position. Want to use a little dielectric grease on those connections. That's just good to help prevent corrosion, that sort of stuff when you're out there on the water. Right, so now we're going to go red to red. Oop, yep, nice good snap. You want to feel, give it a little tug, make sure it's good. And we're going blue to blue. Oh, it's not wanting to snap. Oh, there it goes. Good little snap. And then green to green and white. Oop, yep, good snap. Give it the full test. It's good. Now, before I put everything back together, I want to give it a test and make sure that it's working. So we're going to try our trim up. Ooh, much better. So now our trim up, trim down is working. And so now I just need to get this put back together. And there are certain things that we also want to know, like this is our neutral safety switch. We have that disconnected, and that makes sure that the boat is in neutral and you can start it. So we should be in the neutral, so we're just gonna see if it'll start. Looks like our key got a little boogered up from getting jostled around, so we'll straighten that up a little bit. All right, that's better. See, so that's not working. So we're not lined up on top of that switch. Oh, there it is, wasn't quite on top. Okay, see, that's why you want to do that. Make sure that you get everything lined up. So we got that lined up now, and I'm gonna see if we can't find this bolt that we had holding it together here. And that's a 1/2 inch, but you can tell it's a metric bolt because if you look, there's just numbers on the top of the head. And if it's a standard bolts will just have lines. All right, so we got that tightened down. Make sure we can still move it, yep. Still moves. Now let's make sure that we've got our shifters in position. Lined up. And we want to try to shove these wires in a fashion that they're out of the way. I want to get them tucked up in here. Thinking about using a little zip tie just to try to hold it while we put things together. We'll grab a zip tie or two. All right, I'm going to try to go around this ground stud. Okay, finally. So we're gonna start putting some screws back in here. Not that hole. All right. All right, so we're gonna make sure our trim up down still works. Make sure we can still start the boat. All right, so now check the throttle, see if it feels okay. Feels pretty good. Try the reverse. Yep. This is also time you could take the cover off your motor and check to make sure, if you don't think you got those cables in there, that your throttle and shift cable are working correctly on your motor. And if you don't know quite how that works, it might be a good idea to take it off and make sure that it's working correctly before you take the controls apart. And now, we're going to put it back on here, and said this is a different style controller. These aren't the factory screws. I've got these bolts here that are 7/16. So I'm going to put them back through the control to bolt it on, and then I've got these spacers that I used instead of the plastic factory spacer. But for 3 years, these worked just fine. Haven't had an issue. So we're gonna put them back on. And just the hard part is sticking your arm up in here and putting the washers and nuts on. And not dropping your spacers when you put it together. All right, put our spacers on. Now, there's no backing nuts on there, but I'm just gonna help get it through the fiberglass here. Would help if we had the right size on there. Oh, and our little plastic trim panel, which we can can't quite see how to put that on, so I'm going to pull this loose again. Okay, so now I'm going to have to get like a magnetic stick to try to help hold some of this stuff in there while I put it together, drag out the old bolt. That's it, better. All right, there it is. Got the new switch installed, got the controller back together and on the boat. And so now it's time to go fishing. All right, I'm out on the water today, testing out the switch. And now we've got good operation, fully works up and down. You can see we can trim the motor up and down. Out here on beautiful Canyon Lake today, doing a little fishing. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.